So, a little acoustic blues in the key of A. I wanted to share with you some ideas I came up with today. I was just sitting around, like I do with my acoustic here, and kind of a fun little acoustic blues guitar here. And I thought, well, people often ask, well, how do I get from one chord to another, and what are some of the key licks that take you to those places you want to go, and to make the acoustic blues really swing. So the key of A is a great key for this because you got that open A string, which is, a great luxury to have. Everything rings out. So if you're playing, whatever kind of blues, whether it's a shuffle, that kind of thing, or something, a little more, delta, which is, again, is a type of shuffle, but whatever that is, you got to have an understanding of, I call them vocabulary licks, which is basically, blues you can use, I guess is what I'm really getting to here. So in the key of A, if I'm playing something in A, and if I'm just starting like with a simple, like a simple A pattern, most of you know that one. So I'm just basically moving from my second fret. I've got my A chord here, so I'm doing it like this. I'm just basically barring, right? I'm not doing this kind of A, the folk A. I'm just barring like this. And the reason I do that is because I want to be able to have, some movement available to me if I'm doing a, right? If I'm like this in a regular A form, I don't have a lot of room to move. But if I do it in this way, if I just bar, then I can do or frees me up really well. So there's a simple trick right there. Is if you're playing the blues in A, and you're in the first position like I am right now, you want to be able to get around on it, right? Whether it's and as far as licks you can do that are open to you in that first position, you can bend the A string on the third fret. If you bend that, you get kind of a. So if you're doing a shuffle, say like a slow shuffle like this, which we've gone over that before. Just by bending that C note, which is the third fret on the A string, you're gonna get in there and make it kind of greasy and make it funky, right? And if you bend that A string and then you hit the octave A, which is the second fret of the G string, it sounds like this. And that alone is kind of a cool. So here we go in practice. If I'm doing just that really simple pattern, the fourth fret on the D string, sorry, back and forth like that. So you could jump from the open A string and then that third fret, and then open it up. So it sounds like this. It kind of swings. So that's just me working off of the first position, A, and kind of bouncing around on a couple of things. Now, if I want to go to the second position, one way to do that in a really easy fashion, and just utilizes two fingers, really. It's like a Django Reinhardt move. You basically take your first finger and your second finger, and you place them respectively on the D string, 4th fret, and the G string, 5th fret, and then slide it up half step. Kind of cool. Now I'm still hitting that open A string, right? That's a cool sound. So if you're starting out like in the low first position A, you do that lick I showed you. I'm just going for a half step. I'm just doing that. So what's cool about that is you get a slightly different voicing, which is important because if you're just zooming around, you know, and you're in the key of A, you want to have different voicings so that you can, you know, have some variation in your playing, right? So putting those two together sounds something like this. So I'm going back and forth. Then I will go up to that second position. Now you'll notice I've got this thumb working on my low A string. Regardless of what I'm playing with the rest of my fingers, that thumb just keeps right on going. That's your drum, right? So putting those two together, this is a fair amount of stuff, even though they're fairly simple licks. I'm going to stay just concentrating on just this really simple stuff for this lesson because I don't want to go too far with it. Because I think sometimes if you make things too complicated, it's just kind of it's gone. So let's talk about what we just did and then put them all together. So the very first lick I showed you was just this. Now you'll notice I'm doing a finger style, which you could do with a pick. That's fine too. I'm incorporating the D and the G string in that. And again, like I said, I'm barring that A chord. I'm doing it that style. And I'm just kind of alternating back and forth from the second to the fourth fret with my first finger and my third finger. So slow motion. Yeah, you got that. Now the other part of the lick was to bend that third fret on the low A string. So I'm hitting the open A first. And then bend it. And then second fret G string. Which is another A note, but anyway, don't worry about that. So I'll do that first one, and then the second one. So slow motion. Okay? Now in context with the little rhythm thing, you can do that any which way you want. Now, okay, and that's a lot right there. That's plenty for now, I think, to concentrate on. So hopefully you got something out of that little acoustic blues lesson. You know, I don't want to take it too much further, but I'm going to play it out and give you an example of what you can do if you have. You know, if you want to string several of those types of licks together, it's going to sound something like this. So on. So there's a little basic acoustic blues in A, and as I did at the end there, you can move on and stretch out a little bit, and that's for another day. But hopefully you found that helpful, and you can use blues you can use, as I like to call it. All right. Well, we'll see you down the road.